What is my network trying to do today? You understand? Okay, welcome back. So, in the last class, sorry, have you go to the video I sent in the last class because your network was having an issue? I don't know if you went through the video before we continue. No, where you stop, whether you understand what we are doing. Have you watched it? Can you hear me? You can respond in the question tab. Yeah, okay. Okay. So how have you practiced it? Have you gotten your connection string from MongoDB following the procedure we did in the last class? Are you there? Oh. Okay. Okay. So I will continue. That means after the class, try and get the connection string so that you practice it. All right. But it's one of the one of the principles we have to undergo, because assuming we have much people, some people misbehave when the class is going on by leaving their microphone on, doing one or two things without contributing to the class. So the noise will be disturbing the class. That is the reason why I muted everyone coming to the call. But I understand you are the only person, but try to get used to it in case of if you are joining other cohorts, other groups, other trainings sections. Any question you have to chat it down, unless the question is critical and then you are permitted to speak out or share your screen. That is where the room will be given. Okay. But since you are the only person, I will unmute you so we can communicate. We can make it interactive. You are muted now. So is it what is the reason that you have not practiced it? Is it too much work, or what is the reason behind, so that we can know if it's something we can tackle?
Just watched it this evening around 4-5.
Okay. Please, can you be audible?
Can you hear me?
Yes, good. I'm fine. I can hear you clearly now.
I said I watched you have on that
Network.
video, the one that
Pardon?
check the time you. I said the like you have on that video. I'm the one that sent it. So if you check the time you received the notification, that's around when I watched it today. So there was no light when I was watching it. I was jotting down when I was doing that. I've not logged in on my system.
Okay, that's good. Journey through your. Can't hear you.
You ask.
I say that you are joining through your phone right now, right?
Yes, I join classes with my phone.
Oh, okay. But the good thing is, sorry, where are you coming from? Is it from the Mr. Sliver?
Silvanus
But yes, Venus. How far have you gone with the front end parts?
For me, I'm done with front end, but we are still having classes. Sylvanus.
So okay, so how can you grade yourself in the front end parts?
For HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I think I should be 70%, 80%, maybe 80% for HTML and CSS, 70 for JavaScript. React and Tailwind is just the thing I'm still getting used to. So I'm doing daily task and before I start building projects using it because it's not. It's I don't know. React is just it looks simple, but it's kind of complicated.
When you understand the how the algorithm work, it will look simple for you. It's just that when how long have you started learning this programming of it?
5 months now or 6 months.
Yes, yes, yes. That's good. So don't be. Let me see. Don't be discouraged, because the truth is that as a front end developer or back end, or let me say a developer, for the past 6 months, the truth is that I will assure you that what you are doing, you don't really know what is happening. But you are doing it, but you don't really know what is happening or what you are even doing yourself sometimes. So it happens. You are not the only person. So keep on pushing, keep on encouraging yourself. So what logic or what let me see a strategy do you use that you grade yourself 70-80%? What make you grade yourself at that such a percent?
Because I know how to use the I know how to use the language and I've built things that I have seen I can replicate most of them. My major issue with building projects would be responsiveness. So once I'm done with my React challenge and tasks, that's what I will work on next while I'm adding back into it. So basically know most of the things, and it's not only one platform I've used to learn. So
Okay, that's good. The most important thing is keep your hands dirty, keep your hands on decks. That is the most important things. Keep practicing, do small project. That is the key. Even though watching tutorials, reading, but you are not practicing, it won't help anything. That is the reason why I asked how do you graded yourself of such a percent. But the key is
like
practicing is the key.
things that if I've not practiced, I will not know that I can replicate things that I see.
Yes, yes, that's good. So what I will advise is keep pushing. That is how we started, and at the end of the day, you will enjoy it. You will enjoy it. It's fun. So keep on pushing. Have you been learning backend before? Or do you have any place you are learning it apart from here?
Yeah, I've done few modules on back end. Hello. Hello, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me? Please, sorry, it's my network. I don't know what is giving me some issue. Please give me just few minutes. Let me sort it out. Hello.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm coming. Just some few minutes. Hello. Sorry for the issue. It's my network. I don't know what. The network is very bad today. Can you hear me? Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'm back.
I said yes.
Oh, I did not hear you because of this network.
Audible. Is it not
Okay.
audible?
No, it's audible enough now. Maybe it was network. Sorry for
Okay.
that delay. Okay. So in the last class we tried to get in our connection string from MongoDB, which we have it here in our .env file, and then we make sure that our server is running and is connected to the database, which you can see in my terminal here, that is connected to database MongoDB connected, and the port is listening on. We're doing something different than what we did before. We'll be creating products
Your
and
screen.
put, pardon, my screen is not showing.
Are you sharing your screen? No, I can't see your screen.
I see that it is disconnected. It's not that I'm sharing. Oh yeah, can you see my screen now? Can you?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were saying it, so I keep on
Yes.
explaining. Eh? I didn't get you.
I said I can see your screen now.
I said yes. I said that in the last class we tried to connect to MongoDB, which we have created an account and get our connection string, which is this one here. And then in our server.js, we try to connect to database we have created. And you can see my terminal here, my server is running, and I connected to the database, which you see MongoDB connected here, and the server is running on port 8000. So this is where we are going to start. Before, in the last previous classes, our server was running on port 5000, which I have it here on line 139. But today I did something different there, which the server is running in the terminal here. You see it's running on 8000. So how do I do that? Here, you see that I have a line of code here. This line one in my .env, and I create a variable called port, and I give it a value of 8000. That is why it's running on port 8000. So now, coming to my server.js file here, you will see I have another line of code here, which I declare a variable port and I assign a value to it. And it's showing process.env.port. So what does that mean? This process.env.port, I'm telling the server that please look into the .env file, which I collected here, and find this variable name port. Whatever is assigned to this variable, run the server on. So that is the meaning of this process.env.port. I'm telling the server, look into the .env file, find a variable name called port, and if there is any port assigned to it, please make use of it. Run the server on that port. So this one here, this particular one here, is what we call OR, OR in web developments. I'm telling it in a situation whereby I don't have the ports in my .env file, use this port here. So I'm giving it a fallback port, which it will use. For example, if I go into this .env file and then comment out this line and save this, what happened to my what's happened to my node? Let me restart the server again. So I comment the line of my port in the .env file and I save it again. So you will see that it's got running on port 5000. That is the server that the port that my server is running on. Because of what? Going into this .env file, you will find out that there is no ports in that .env file. So it has to fall back to this port 5000, which are assigned to it, that whatever reason happened to the port in my .env file, please use this fallback port here. So that is the reason why you see my server is now running on port 5000. If I go back and now bring this back, my server will be running on port 8000. What is happening that is now restarting? A bit. Let me use the node. Let's wait for it to run. Yes, my server is now running on port 8000. So that is just what I did here in this line. I bring in what is saved in the .env file and then save it inside this port here, and I pass the ports inside here. That is the reason why. The reason for this is that whatever port that is you define for the server to be running, you can see in the previous class we have server is running on port 5000, which you will not see all this HTTP : /localhost : and then all of this. But now I make it dynamic. I make port, whatever port you are giving, it will use it. But before, when we did it, if you use change the port, it will still be if we change the port, it will not change like this, except where you define it. But now, any place I define it, I can change, or any ports that you put, it will work. So I bring in the variable here, the ports. And when you want to put a variable inside a string, you use a backstick. So what is here like a code is not code, is the backstick I'm using to enable me use this variable inside this console log. So that is just what I did. And then this helps us to run the server on any ports we define. So now I want us to do something different by creating a product and saving it in our database. That is what we will be doing today. So first of all, you have to come to this place. This is our file directories here. You will create a folder. In my case, I have a models folder here. If something is inside. So when you create a folder, open inside the folder and have a file called product.model.js, which you see I have it here. So now, before you create any product, you have to define a model or create a schema for that product. What do I mean? You have to give that schema how you want it to be, how you want it to look at whenever you create a product. What are the keys that your application is requesting for? The keys, these are the keys. If I'm talking of keys, these are the keys here. The name, the price, the image, the quantity, the in stock. This is what you'll be expecting for a user to input before creating a product. You have a fintech or e-commerce website which you are launching your products. Before you add any product, you have to get all these keys. You have to fill in. You have to fill in all the fields before you can be able to create a product. So if you remember in the last class, I told you that Mongoose does so many things. It did more than connecting to the database. If we see here in our server.js, Mongoose helps us to connect to the database here. On line 1, mongoose.connect, process.env, .mongodb_url. Mongoose, go into the .env file, find a variable name called mongodb_url, and then use any connection string connected to the database. That is what this line is saying. And then we connect to the database, which is showing us in the terminal here. So now, we are using the same mongoose to do different tasks. We are creating schema using mongoose. After that, we model it. We are creating our model here on line 14. But we are still using the mongoose to create the model. So inside this file, we are doing two things. One, we import the mongoose from mongoose package we install to help us create this schema. And then we create a variable name called product schema here and assign a built-in function from mongoose, which is a new mongoose.schema, and then we pass in the keys required for us in our application. The keys we want a user to input values before creating a product. You are the owner of the product you are running on your site, and then you want to upload a product. You are selling shoes and you want products on the site so that the world can see and people can patronize it. You have to put in the name of that shoe, the price for that shoe, the image of that shoe, and the quantity. The in stock, how many are they, or whatever, how you want to define it. It depends on your need. So that is the number 2 thing which I say Mongoose does. It's now helping us to create a schema. And then now I told us that it helps us to now validate. What do I mean? And where does Mongoose validate? You can see here after my key name, I have the type of the key which I need in that field is string I need, and then is required true. The require is true. They require, if you remember your HTML, when you are trying to create a form, we have something required, which means that you must input that value before submitting a form. So Mongoose also does this for us. You remember that as a backend developer, you have to be validating. Even though the Mongoose validate for us, we still have to validate whenever we are creating any products or creating user or logging user, as the case may be. So this is how we now create a schema, passing in the keys and how you want them to look like, the types of the key. Is it a string? Is it a number? You can see that my name here is a string, but the price is not here as a type. So whatever you put in that field must be a number. Even though you press any letter, if we validate it in our API that is managing our creating of products, it will now bounce back to you that you should input the appropriate type if we validate such. Or anything you put in is going to convert it to number. So we have the image string and its default and it's not required. You can create this without uploading it. But when we want to use it like in a real application, we have to upload the image so that people can see how it look like, how they like it or not. Then the quantity is also a number by 0, and then the in stack is boolean, but for default is false. So you can make it true or false, but for the default is false. So now coming to this particular one here, line 11, we use a timestamp. Timestamp is true. What does that mean? whenever you create a product, you need to know when the product is created. When you upload a product, you need to know when that product is uploaded. So by doing that, we use this line 11 here to do that. So any product you created, it will have time that you created the product, you uploaded the product. That is what this line 11 means. And then in line 14, we are trying to export our schema and the model. What do I mean? We are going to use this file in another file. So without exporting it, we will not be able to use it. So now we export it by using the keyword export here. And then we create a variable named product. We assign new mongoose.model. So now we are creating model for up here. For up here, we create the schema of this project. So now of this product. So now we are going to create a model. You can call it a database name. So what you will see on the database is the product which we put here. This mongoose.model, it has two parameters. One is for product. Two is for the schema we created up here. This model name should be products, or this database name should be product. That is what we did here. And then the second parameter here is the schema. Use this schema for this product. So whatever you are creating is going to use the schema we have created up here for this particular product. So we are going to see it in practice when we create something and we can see it in our database. So that is all about this file now. We exported it so that we enable us to use it in another file. So now we are proceeding to server.js, where we make use of the file. So now I will come up here and then import the file from that folder. And products. I'm going to import products. You can see that my Emmy helped me suggested it here. So I'm going to accept it here. And it's imported. It's auto imported now. So whatever I want to use as a product inside this file, I will be able to use it. So my product model, or my product yes, my product model is now imported into this file, so I can make use of it now. First of all, we start by getting a product or getting products. So in here, this is the API that manages that. Because we have explained it in our previous classes. That's why I jumped into the API here. This is our first API here. This API now is for getting all products. If you could remember, I said that the app is what our application is running on. The express we initialize in the app. Then the get method, which is helping us to get what is stored in our database. And from in here, this is our endpoint, which we get all products. And we make this function. Sorry, do I explain this in the last class? No, I didn't. We make this function async. What do I mean by async? Async is a function that runs in the background. What do I mean by runs in the background? If we visit some sites, for example, let's say for now, our government is trying to do recruitment for a civil defense, immigration, and prison. So if you log into that website now, there is much traffic on the website. People are trying to come in. Some are trying to register for the site. Some are trying to log into the site. Some are trying to get site. As the case may be, depends on what they want to do. So there is much traffic, and all these users are doing different things. They are not doing the same thing at a time. So that is where we bring in async here. Async is used together with await. If you didn't define your function as async, you can't use await. But when you define this function, that is the API using async, you have to use await keyword here. What does await keyword does? People are trying to fetch something from database, to register something from database. So by so doing, this await here tell this function that wait, let this API go into the database, query the database, and bring out the result. I want to use the output. So wait for it until it bring out the response. If it bring out the response, catch the response and save it inside this variable name here, which we say all products. Let me take it again. Async is the function that runs in the background. When using async, you also use keyword await. If I click outside, you see that all of them are not highlighted. If I click async, you see that I click await, you see that the async is also highlighted. If I click async, you see that the await is also highlighted. So they are working together. So now, you using async now, this make your server keep on running. Okay, for someone is trying to log in and someone is trying to create an account, they are doing two different things. So now, for the server to wait, to hang for the other user to wait because the other third party or partner B is creating an account, let him finish before you can sign in. No, that is not a good idea. The server will crash. So now, async runs in the background with the keyword await. Oh yeah, I'm trying to now sign in, but that does not stop the other person to work on the site or to create an account on the site. So in that process, keep running the server. That is what async is saying. Keep running the server. Allow pass the next API. The next API in action whenever person call on the API. How does the person call on the API? Using the endpoint. You are using the get all user or the login or the sign in. The person, another person is calling the API for login. That will not stop. Pass the next function, the next API. Keep it active, keep it working, allow it to work. That is what async is doing here. So for you that is trying to sign in or log in, your function, your API is now here for you. But since it takes time, because it's going to connect to the database first before coming back with the response, I wait with the result coming back from the database. But this async now, oh yeah, continue with your to the other APIs. So whenever person call the login and you are trying to create account, it won't stop the person. Both of you will be working on the site. You will stay on the site and the server will be working perfectly well. That's what async does. Okay, how do we go into the database? Remember, we create a schema, a model called products, which I imported it here. This is what I imported and is using here. So this product, if you look in this your schema here, which is in your product model, you see that you have so many things here. You have a key, the price, and whatever. So coming in here, you are telling the data. Your server is telling, go into this product model and find me any user in that product, in that model, bring it out. Any user you see in that model, bring it out. That is what we are doing here. So by using these products here, is communicating with the database. When you reach the database, it will now check into the database and bring out the result. When we say find and call this function like this, we are trying to get everything in that database that concern users. All the user register on the platform, please bring them out. That is what this particular line is saying here. And when it's up, save it inside this. Save it inside this variable here, all products. So now, if we did not use async, before this is going to the database, it will take time. Then this API will now quickly crash or return this response. Assuming we don't have all these products here, all products here, it will return success, which the result we are waiting is all products. And before it comes, the server now give out the response, which is not the response we don't want. So in that case, we use our sync function using the keyword await to wait for any result that is coming from the database before you can proceed. If it's not back, this particular part will not run. This particular part will not run until it return a response and save inside there. So this is what we are using inside here. We are passing in the variable here, which we want from the database. Is there any question before we run the API? Any question? Lilian, are you there?
I'm here. There's no question. It's confusing. I will not even know where to ask question from. Most of these things you already typed it before we started, so explanation is coming from bottom going to top. It's confusing, so I don't even know what to ask.
Which how is it confusing? Let me understand. You see, it's confusing generally, but how are you confused?
I can't ask you question. It's confusing. When I'm ready to practice it, if I have any challenge, I'll let you know. Just explain, because I'll still watch the video again because I'm not getting it.
Okay, let me do it this way. Let me do this. Maybe we do something like this. Maybe you understand better. This is where I start from. This is app. Where is this app coming from? Look at this line here. Look at this line here. This is where our app is coming from. Do you get? This is where our app is coming from. So our server is built on top Express. So this is this is Express function. So instead of us to be using, okay, let me say Express here like this. We open it and then we begin let me say put get method inside like this. Again, open this one, then pass in a function. It does not make that sense, and is you will not understand it. So that is the reason why we put in the Express application, the function inside this variable here, so that whenever we use app, the server will now understand that yes, we are using Express. In our application. So you are now telling Express to build this API, control this API. That is what we are doing, and that is where our app is coming from. So when you have the app, we now put dots and now bring in the method. You remember I told you of the HTTP method, which we have so many of them. The get method, the create post method, which is the create, the put method, the delete method, the patch, and so many on. So now we are saying that, okay, hey, server, get us all users. Get us all users. So how are we going to define it that it will make sense to the server to understand? What is the algorithm or the procedure or how it's set that the server understand? Just take the server as a computer. So which language that the computer understand? In our normal computer language, they will say that computer understand high-level languages. So this one particular one is we are building, we are developing. So the language that the computer understand when you are developing an application, we are using JavaScript. So JavaScript have environment, which is Node.js. And Node.js also have a framework called Express, which the Express is the one that you are building our application on. This app here, which we call it here. This is the Express framework that our application is building on top. So there are so many functions built in with this Express function that we call there. So we need our server to understand we are running our application on this Express. So now save these functions inside this app. We assume that everything, we call it software, server, website, application, app. That is the reason why we abbreviate to app. This app is application, which we call it website. So we now put the Express as an app, an application, which, okay, in this particular application, this particular API, this is what we want this to do, which I will open my curly brace, my parentheses, and then inside, this is an API that I'm creating now. Inside it, I'm going to pass in a string. How do I pass in a string? I pass a string by passing double quote inside this get method. Remember, anything like this is a get method. And this get method is taking two parameters. One of them is the endpoint, which I'm typing now. I will put in / or users. If I want to use that, I will use that, or all products. Now we're dealing with product, not users. So you will see that I have this particular one here, this one here. This is the first parameter that this get method is using. Remember, we are using two things here, the app and the get method. So this get method now is the one that has two parameters. One is the endpoint. This endpoint, this is what comes in your front end. This is what they call that point to this API. Let me go to the browser and you will see something. Where can I go? Is it the GitHub or let me open the GitHub. This is the endpoint here. This particular part are highlighted here. This is the endpoint. So whatever they put inside here is what is going to point to the API you are creating in the backend. In any application, if I use this one here from this place, dashboard, this is the endpoint. You know, this company has their own domain name, which they register, they buy. And then after their domain name, which is their company name, they come back and use this the endpoint for this particular page you are seeing on the screen. This is the endpoint. This is the the endpoint of this page you are seeing on the screen. Whenever you call this point, add this / dashboard, you are going to get this. Let's do, for example, I'm going to add another / and put, let me see, anything there and run it. Let's see what will happen. You see that it trigger an error. It trigger an error. It's not working because there is no endpoint in that application, in that their server that get that. So you can see that on this particular URL here, it's still giving me 404, which is not found. You remember in the last class, I told you the status code. Without nobody telling me, but since I see 404 here, it's telling me that page is not found on the server, on the application, or on the website. So that is what we are just doing in here. But if I return it back to the normal URL, let me go back here. If I return it back to the dashboard, you see that it now displays the page. So this is what they put in this particular page. So what are we referring to? These endpoints here, this one are highlighted on line 50 here in the front end that come to this API we are creating in here. Okay, I want to get all user. Now, remember I told you that we have two parameters in this get method. One is the endpoint. Then the second one, where is it coming? See, this is the second one. This is the second one now. I will open this. We have two objects here. So I'm going to accept them inside there. We have two objects here. Two objects here. One is the request. Second one is the response. So if we see in this our API now, in this API now, let me define the before I do this. This is how we define API. This is how we define API. This is how we define API. So inside this API now, we are going to use one of these parameters here. Inside these two, we are going to use one of them. So from here, like this, come down. This is the second, sorry, I put that bracket inside. From here, down. This is the second parameter of this get method. Is the function to run. The function that whenever they call this API here is going to respond to it. What message is inside this function now, this particular function now, we run. Accept two parameters, which is the and the function to run. You see in this particular page now, this is what is inside that API. This is what they tell the API to do. So whenever we call this dashboard, it will now bring out this. Good. Let's go back. So this request going to be used. It's going to be used whenever it's typed on the browser. Whenever it's searched on the browser, whether you type it or you click on it, will work. You see that here we have another slide. If I click on this one, you will see that it brings out with the endpoint. The endpoint which you see in here. So this particular one is pointing to which handles this. So whether I click on it or I type it myself, since the API is going to work. That is what we are. So this request is going to be active when this API is called, when endpoint is called. But when building, what we are going to use is this response. You see that when I use the response here on line 38, see how this one is, because I use the response here, but the request is failed. Whenever we call this API now, the request is now in action. Bringing is accepting the request that is coming, and then the function runs in the background. It's behind the scenes. It's not something you can see. It's working behind the scene. Just take it as if you enter a vehicle. What is happening in the engine parts, you don't know. What you the motor, it will now start. You on the ignition, it will start. The motor will move. You engage the gear, and you don't know what X is happening in that engine side. It's the same thing that is happening here. So that is just what I'm trying to explain here. So when you use this, okay, now this is this one here. This is API. In what we want this API to do, we are the one giving it instructions. We are the one giving the computer instruction to do what we want. So the moment you call the API and you point it to different things, which is not what we define in our API, it will tell you that it does not exist. 404, which is not found, is not available. So it's what you define here that the server will work on. You can see that I put another / and other things. It throw a 404 status code for me, which the API I'm trying to access is not available in that particular website. So that is just what we are trying to do here. So now we are going to API, which I explained earlier that if you are accessing the login, another person is accessing the create account, it will not stop you to wait for the person to finish doing the login, or you creating the account before the other person will log in. No, that is not good idea. So they try to do it that everybody can access the site at a time without the server crashing. So in that point, you now bring in the async here. You now bring in the async here to help you manage the API. This async now pass. There is what we call next function. Next. This async will now run the API. Remember, from here down, from here like this, I told you that it's a function that is going to run, that is going to perform any logic concerning this endpoint here. So this async now is going to run this function whenever the API is called. But when running it, if it's going to take time, the async will now bring in the await function, which is here on line 40. This await keyword here. Oh yeah, wait for me. I'm going far away this time. Communicating with another server, or communicating to another IP address. Because when we are hosting this, remember we get our database from MongoDB. Where after finishing everything we are building here, we are going to host our server on different platforms of that particular hosting platform to another platform, which is the MongoDB. To look into it, to search in whether you get a user inside. So wait for me until I come back with the response. So you keep on waiting until you come back. Take it as if you have a child at home, or your siblings, and you are going out. They now ask you, Auntie, when you are coming, please buy chin for me, buy something for me, and you say, okay, there, I will bought it for you. That particular child keep in mind that yes, you are coming back with something for him or her. So he keep on waiting until you come back. Come back depends on the response you bring back to the child, either good or bad. What do I mean by good or bad? Okay, you bought what he asked you to bought, or you did not bought. It's left for you to explain so that the child will not feel bad. That is what we are doing here. Okay, for this case, it's going to the database outside of the server hosted to look into your database, where this is where you ask the application to store your data whenever somebody register or create a product. So it's going to that your store. If you remember, I explained the other time that, yeah, if you come to the reception, you see the decoration of the reception of the the hotel, or let me say the restaurants is there. You meet someone asking you what you want. They will go to the counter. If they have, they will now prepare it, offer it for you, dish it and bring it for you. Or if they don't have, they have to go inside the store and look in there. Before they will go there, they will pass you a message. We don't have that prepared already, but it's in store. Can you wait for us to prepare it for you? If you accept, they will now start the process. So now, that is what is happening here. If the database, if the server now, you made a request, get all products. Yes, the server is trying to look for it as a sync, but it did not find it inside this API here. So it has to travel to the database. It's telling you to wait until I bring back the response. Okay, what is the response? Save any response that you come back with here. When you save it, you pass in here as the response. This is where you are returning message to the end user, whether being it good or bad. What the person, if the API now happens to find the user in the database, it's going to return the user information, which or the product information, which will define it here. This is the information you are expecting the API to return back to you. This is what you are expecting the API to render for you, render to you when you call it in the front end. We are going to see that. So that is what we are doing here. So coming inside this function here now, I said, okay, I create a variable name here called all products, which is here. This is what I did. And I assign a value to it. What is the value? Which is products. Product dot find. What am I finding? I'm finding a product in the database. This is what I assign to it. But if I leave it like this particular part of this application is going to take time. And as it's going to take time, and I pass in the response, which I pass in here. I will do like this. The response here, which is 200, showing that something successfully or okay. and then I will pass format here like this. I'm passing it an object here. So what am I passing? I'm passing in the message in that object. Message, that is my key. Remember in JavaScript we had key value pairs, the key and the value. So that is the same thing I'm doing here. So I'm going to pass in the value as a string. This is what I did. This is what I did. So now, this is what I did here. If I did not use the await here and run this particular function, call this particular API using this endpoint here, it will quickly return this message. It will quickly return this message without giving me anything. Because by the time this particular line of code is going to the database and is still longer, the API will now pass in the rest, which is not what I'm expecting. It's not what I'm expecting. What I'm expecting is the information coming from this database. What is in there? I want to see it. So by that, I will now pass in the await keyword. Await keyword here. I pass in this keyword here, await. So now if I save this and run this, no matter what, no matter how long it takes for this function to connect to the database, it will keep on waiting and it will not crash my application. Because of this, I use async function. Or I keep on running, but pass the next function. Keep on waiting, but pass the next function. Call the next function in action. What do I mean by call the next function? If you go down here, I have another API. This is for create. And when somebody is trying to sign in or get product, as we are doing up here, it won't stop this particular person to create a product. Because this async now pass you the order, the access to another function to run. Keep waiting here. If you don't have, if your data is not strong, your network is not strong, keep on waiting for 2 hours, 3 hours, no problem. We don't have issue with that. Our server is still there. This man, this Mr. B now will now create his account or create his own product if he has strong network. If this other man now is trying to get just one product, it will have access to that. We didn't stop him from doing that. That is what async is saying here. 20 days, stay on here, keep on waiting for the database response. No problem. Mr. B will continue with his own work. So this is all what we are saying here. After getting this information from the database, you see now that I never use this my here, this all products. So when I use it, how do I use it? I use it, I return it here as all products. Before I will use that, you see that it's highlighting here under this all products. What does that mean? I have to pass in a comma because I'm passing me two different things as a response. I want to see the message success in my output, and I want to also see the user information. That is the reason of this. So with this full point of mind, I hope you understand it. Any question?
It's okay. In practice, you can actually say you understand.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Sound and clear.
I said when I practice, if I have question, I would ask you.
Okay,
Okay.
that's cool. So you drop the question anytime in the chat. I respond to that, even though I didn't respond at that spot, but as soon as I saw it, I will respond to it. So now, I want us to go to the database now. I want us to go to the Postman now and try this API and see how it will work. I want us to go to the database and try this. I'm calling it database to the what do you call it? Postman. It's not only Postman. You can use a Thunder client or any one you feel like testing your what do you call it? Your APIs. Testing your APIs. So now, I will now open another tab, and what I need, see, these are the get method I was talking about. All this one here, they are the methods which we'll be using. So for this particular API I'm trying to call now, this endpoint now is the get method. So I will leave it as default as a get method. Then I will now bring in this. This is my URL, exactly the way it calls in the front end. So because my server is running on port 8000, so you can see in here. Let me go to see my terminal. I hope you can still see my terminal without going see inside my terminal. My server is running on this port here. So all this I put there in that URL in my Postman. This one here. This is what I did here. So after putting it, you see in my terminal here, it stopped at 8000. So where am I getting that all product? Is here, this particular place. I copy it and come back and put in here. So now I want to call this API by using this all product. That is my endpoint. If I remove this, you will not see it. But let me run it first. I hope I saved the file. No, I'm here to save it. So I'm going to save my file. Why crashing? Could not find module. Why? Okay. I've seen the error message. Let me open my terminal so that you can see it very well in case you come across that. Let me leave it. Where is that? It's not there. Okay, let me open it here. Let me extend it from there. If you remember, in the last other previous classes, I say that whenever you run your server and you are getting error like this, see the plenty line of code that is showing me, the red one and all of that. But there is a particular place you will see your error message. Forget about all these lines of code here. Screw up like this. Come up. You come to this particular place. See it here. This is where the error message is, and it's showing you error here, and it's passing in something here. Can't find module. So in here, they even point where there is the error is coming from. They say it's coming from my server.js file, which is saying, did you mean to import this particular file with this? Yes, because I'm using in my package.json file in here, you will see that I added something here, type equals to modules, which is enable me to use ES6 syntax. So when I imported this, file here, I did not add the .js here. That is the reason why it's giving me error. So I'm going to add the .js here and then save the file again. So go back to my terminal again. You can see that my application is running. My application is running now. Yes, my application is running now. Let me cancel the terminal and run it again. You can see that my server is now running. Yes, it's running. And the database is connected as well. So I'm going back again to send it and see what will happen. Yes, at this time, it did not crash. My server is still running. My is could not see the request. Why? products. Copy and paste. Sometimes we have typing error. My server is running localhost. I'm putting here localhost that send it again. Wow. Let me close the VS Code and reopen it again. I hope you are still seeing my screen, right?
I'm seeing the screen.
Hope you are still seeing my screen.
I'm
I can't
seeing
hear
it.
you in case you are hearing. Okay, okay.
I'm unmuting.
Pardon?
I was trying to unmute. That's why it's taking time for you to hear me.
Okay, okay. Let me run the server again. Connect. Maybe it's my network. Why is it taking time to connect to my database? What is in there? Okay, it has connected. It's connected now to the database. Trying to get all the products. We have to check very well. Localhost host 8000 slash get all users. But why are you not responding? Why are you not responding? But that is how it works. There is nothing. There maybe is one or two reason, but it's supposed to bring out the response. Yes. But that is how we get user. What the message I'm expecting is that we suppose get this message here, success, and it return an empty array showing us that we don't have any user in yet. But let me change the port and see what but it's supposed to give me that I'm connected to another port. The port is in use, but it's not giving me that. That is how it works. The issue is that, see now, even I save that file, my server is not restarting. So maybe my system need to be restart. That's why. But that is how it works. What it's supposed to do is, when I save any changes, it's supposed to now restart my server, and it's not doing so. So there is something somewhere on my machine which is doing holding it. That's why it could not get it very okay. But that is how we do it. You can see this even taking time to connect to my database. I don't know whether it's my internet, but let me run it again. See now, I changed the server. It's running on 7,000. I run it again. Still yet. Maybe I have to restart my machine, but I don't want to do that now. But this is how we do it. So if we get it now, it's going to be empty because we don't have any user there. So I just want us to see how it. Can we call it a day here and then continue in the next class, or what do you think? Because this next API, pardon?
You can call it a day.
Okay, because this next API here, it need much explanation, because this is where we are going to create a product, and the time is almost this 2 hours we spend. So at this point we call it a day, and then in our next class we continue from where we stop. Please do well to practice it before we come into the next class, so that you ask your question and you share your challenges you are having. Do you get?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining once again. The next week class, I will drop it on Sunday, the days that we'll be meeting in next week. Thank you for joining once again. If you have any challenge, drop it. I will attend to it. Let me stop the recording.